about the platform, there are two different aspects: the soft infrastructure and the hard infrastructure. I know, for example, our legal system, we always talk about it being very safe, jurisdiction. We talk about the legal aspect. When we talk about commercial and property laws, people are quite well safe to be here. In terms of internally in the country, you can go up north to south virtually very quickly. But when you look at connectivity in terms of the airline, in terms of port, for example, and also look at the interconnectivity between Africa, there are still a lot of improvement that needs to be made.
I totally agree with you. As you said, on that foundation that we have, we've got to build the hards. And the biggest constraint is definitely air traffic. I am very happy that Mr. Durestraki seems to be quite determined in creating this regional airline. I think we need to do that. You know, I'm not liberal in the sense of that I believe only in free markets. I believe government has a role, and I wouldn't mind even if we need, because it's a chicken and egg situation. You know, you've got to, and I don't mind if government had tomorrow to subsidize some of this, you know, but in a systematic way, and get people to travel more directly to Africa. That will definitely help. 3 months ago, I had to go to Swaziland. So when you have to go to Swaziland, as it is today, you go to South Africa, you go to Johannesburg in the morning, and wait for about 7 hours to catch a plane in the evening to go to Swaziland. And I must tell you, on the airport at Johannesburg, biggest surprise was to meet at least 9 Mauritians at the airport. Some were going to Burundi, others were going to Rwanda, and you know, so there is a demand. There are people who are traveling. Business is flourishing between those two countries. I must say, my greatest surprise when I came back from India was I thought this was only at a very sort of initial, but no. I think we are not aware of how many things are happening. Small companies which are getting contracts in Africa, in software, and so things are happening. But yes, transport, to come back to the point, transport is a constraint. Air transport for travel of businessmen, and sea transport for travel of goods, for transport of goods between countries. I think we need to definitely look at that.
We know from history, Mauritian has been very fluid. Home is home, but anywhere you go in the world, you will always find a Mauritian somewhere, and most of them are highly qualified. And this is what you're saying here. And if you were to give an advice to the youth of today, because they're the one that will be leading us into the region, or leading the country, what advice would you give them in terms of getting these skills? What sort of skills do they require?
As I said, services. Now you have financial services, you have medicine, nursing. Yeah,
we used to export nurses.
Yeah, huh?
We used to export nurses at some point.
Basically, it's about acquiring skills, or acquiring knowledge, or acquiring, professionalism. Okay, and then be ready. I would say to the youth of this country, be ready for one thing. You must sort of forget about this, sort of 9 to 4, get a job which is going to be there for a number of years and so on. If your frame of mind is you are a professional, especially among professionals, you say to yourself, look, I'm going to go on a contract to this country in Africa for 3 months or 4 months. I'm going to work hard, and then I'll come back to Mauritius, and maybe for 2 months I don't even need to work. I'm going to take it easy until I get my next contract or my next assignment. I think it's this frame of mind. If you get into that frame of mind, I believe any professional in Mauritius who decides that this is what he wants to do, there's no reason why he won't be able to do that, and to earn very good money from international organizations, from institutions like the World Bank. There are the plethora of contracts, of job opportunities that are there for the taking. I think Mauritian firms could probably employ people on a contract basis to go and set up their companies in Mauritius. I have sent people, land surveyors to Zimbabwe to do land survey, because the Indian company that was going to do wanted an independent sort of people to go in. And I've sent a team of land surveyors to Zimbabwe. So I believe there's a lot of scope there. It's a question of frame of mind and getting into that sort of state of mind.
One thing, you yourself being an entrepreneur, very often we teach our youth, or we have this mindset that entrepreneurs should be assisted, holding their hand, very low risk taking. We have this problem you mentioned earlier, cultural problem of not always looking for the perfect job, but not looking for the perfect entrepreneur. Can you tell me how we need this mindset of entrepreneurship, risk takers, have a long-term frame of mind to be able to take that opportunities to be an entrepreneur. If you take the likes of Indian, for example, they will take a plane, go to Kigali, we go to Blantyre, and start saying, I've got this product, would you like to buy it, yes or no? Whereas we've got the feeling here that it's always somebody will have to hold their hand, take no risk, and take them there.
It's very true, but it is historical, cultural. I think you don't get away from this. Don't forget that 10, 15 years ago we were in this cocoon of protected markets and protected tariffs. Nobody could export to import into Mauritius without paying high duty, so we had our small cocoons, and then we used to export our markets to Europe. So I think that has sort of created, from top to bottom, sort of comfort zone, where everybody's happy with what's happening. But that cannot go on. I mean, this is done. In fact, this is already over. We are no longer have any sort of privileged relationship with Europe in terms of export of products of sugar. So we have to look at where. And Africa is the upcoming market. And I've always labored under this. And I must tell you, I am not, in fact I created MindAfrica about 10 years ago. I'm not a recent convert, because I have always believed in one thing. I think a prosperous Africa is the best thing that can happen to Mauritius. I have always, if we have to make concessions, if as a country we have to make concessions, because that will help Africa to develop, I think we should have the frame of mind to do that. Because in the long run, and there's where the long run sort of thing comes in the long run, the prosperous Africa is going to be the best thing that can happen to us. In terms of entrepreneurship, again, to come to the specific question, yes, I think there is, you have maybe to have this jump. What I am seeing today is maybe a jump from those people who used to only see their future as an employee, probably in a government office. I see a change into getting more professionals. You have 3 steps. Let's say it's one step is to be a professional. I think they are now professional, but a professional, some of them are liberal, but most of them are still in the frame of mind of getting an employment, getting a job as a professional. I'm just keep my fingers crossed and hope that maybe the next step would be for those professionals to become more liberal, to say, I take some risk. I don't need to just sit there and be sure that I'm going at the end of the month to earn X amount. I'm going to take some risks because I believe I may earn 2x amounts of money. I believe it's an evolution, and any policy, any government measures should actually aim at sort of incentivizing that behavior. Government we need to sit down and think about how we sort of incentivize this, make this become the trend. And so that will be one sort of through way through which we attain this entrepreneurship. The second one is to actually, say, look, I need capital. If I can get capital, I have knowledge, and I have the guts to go and do things in Africa, and just take the plane and go, as you say.
So the concept of land, labor, capital, you need to add the knowledge, the guts as well into that.
Absolutely. In my view, capital, if you have what you call a bankable project, capital is available. All the banks in Mauritius are very difficult, but I think it should be. The capital is there. Why we are not getting it, is another matter, but I think there is, capital is there. Land is becoming less and less important, at least for Mauritius, and if you say you get into services, then you take a 100 square feet office, you get your computer and you start working. So it's more of the guts, because it's a difficult world, and this is where maybe there is a sort of paradox. You know, we are asking people to become entrepreneurs, but the world is more difficult. There's much more volatility. But you have to learn to live with volatility. This is going to be a part of our lives. It's definitely, I mean, I think we are the last, my generation was the last generation that actually saw, you know, I look at my children. I mean, you know, I look at my daughter going to work. She's an engineer and she goes to work, and there's, I mean, the notion of office time has completely changed. I mean, there's no office time. She comes back at home at any time, 6, 7, 8, sometimes earlier. You know, so there is a revolution happening. We need to adjust.
And Rajiv, you also mentioned the guts, but I think you're very passionate about Africa. Tell me about MindAfrica. What exactly do you do as an organization or institution?
Well, first of all, I must tell you, I have a series of activities. We do some real estate investments, property development. We do trade, and people tell me, well, these are things that you do in Mauritius. So, and then I remind them that Mauritius is part of Africa. So this is why I also do business in Mauritius. But mostly, I must tell you, when I came back from India after 3 years, and even before I went to India, I had really made my mind up that was going to be 3 years, and then I come back, I'm going to start my entrepreneurship and set up my own companies. So when I came back, I started working. I'm principally working with Indian companies that are interested in Africa. MindAfrica has a sort of mandate from a few of the big corporates in India to look for opportunities in Africa. So this is why I travel. I'm setting up a network in a few countries in Africa. I'm informed about when there is an opportunity. And then what we do is we bring people together. We bring the entrepreneur in Africa, the entrepreneur from India, and we go together. And we bring people around the table and we say, look, this is the opportunity. We can do things there. Sometimes, you know, the Indian company would tell us to do the sort of preliminary due diligence exercise. So then we'll take accountants from Mauritius, go to Africa, do the first part of the job, and make a report to the Indian company. And from there we take on. But our job is principally one of bringing people together on the basis of information that we have.
Rajiv, we are happy to have you on our show where you showed optimism and the passion for Africa. And thank you for being on Invest Africa. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. Thank you so much.